Campfire Classics is a classic literature podcast. However, your hosts will occasionally use not-so-classy language and immature humor to describe very mature situations. As such, listener discretion is advised. Hi, I'm Ken Sandberg.
And I'm Jamie Sandberg.
Welcome to Campfire Classics, where we try to read those books that look really good on your shelf.
Hello, listeners. I'm happy to be here, and happy belated Mother's Day. Whee! Yay, moms. Yay, daughters.
So happy
Yay,
Mother's
sons.
Day. Yay, children. Yay, parent relationships. Hopefully yours is a functional one, but if it's not, I wish you a functional child-parent relationship in the future somehow, I guess.
There you go.
This is... Oh, that's awful heavy for the first 30 seconds of the podcast.
And I'm sitting here thinking I left out the non-binary folk. So,
yeah.
Children, parents.
Child-parent relationships. We try to be accepting, understanding, and woke to a wide breadth of peoples here at Campfire Classics, but, you know, sometimes we mess it up. It's in the nature of doing this. Please don't cancel us, because today we just hit 10,000 downloads.
Woohoo!
So thank you, listeners, for that. That's very exciting. As we're recording this today, obviously we're coming to you from the past as you're listening, but 10,000 downloads.
Congratulations. And congratulations, Heather, who's not here.
She'll be back with us soon, though. This is episode 98. Next week will be episode 99, and then Heather will be joining us for the 100th episode, because that will be when she's back on solid land off the boat.
Yeah, so tune back in for that.
Yeah, well, also tune back in for next week, because that'll be a good one. 99, that'll be fun. I think Craig's going to be back for that. I think that's tentatively the plan. But for today, I've got my mom here with me. She's been a longtime character on the podcast, but is only is only finally joining us in person. Figured I'm here living with her. It's a Mother's Day weekend. Let's record with Mom.
And I'm not just a frequent listener and a guest. I'm also a patron.
This is true. Yeah. Mom's been giving us that sweet, sweet Patreon money, and you too could give us some Patreon money. Just go to Patreon and look for 50/50 Arts Production, which is our parent production company, and give us money, and we'll give you extra free entertainment and lots of thank yous.
Indeed.
That's the way that works. I'm going to put my wine glass down.
I'm going to pick mine up.
So this is... for new listeners, and if we're doing our job right, every episode is somebody's first episode. This is a literary comedy podcast. Both literary and comedy are kind of in quotation marks, because I think most academics would claim this podcast has very little literary value, and most comedians would claim it has very little comedic value.
Oh, I disagree. There's a lot of literature, and I laugh often and out loud.
This is good to know.
As a listener.
But what we do is typically always we read short stories that we have found in the public domain. And this week, my mom has a story for me to read, which is going to make a really nice change, because for years she read me stories. Which means actually a lot of this podcast is kind of your fault.
Oh, you're welcome. I first started reading to you when you were still an infant, but our first foray into chapter books was the Narnia Chronicles. I read them aloud, and at the ripe old age of 4, you acted out all the parts.
Wow. So that was very much a precursor to everything I would go on to do.
Indeed.
I'll see if I can find a picture of 4-year-old me that I can put up on Instagram or something. And dear listener, you can imagine that kid going around swinging swords at imaginary dragons.
But if there are listeners out there that have never experienced the Narnia Chronicles, it's
very much well worth it. I would love to put out an audiobook version of it for you to listen to, but that would be copyright violation. Yeah. So you'll actually just have to go out and read the book for yourself. Sorry about that. However, we are planning on doing here at Campfire Classics a little bit of a book club sometime in the next couple of months. Something we're talking about doing because mostly I think it will be fun. I got a tentative go-ahead from Heather when I suggested this. Her response was, yeah, but then I'd have to read the book.
Oh, no. Or find an audio version that already exists.
Well, what I said was no, because I will record an audiobook version and you can just listen to me read the book to you.
There you go. It's good to have a plan.
It's good to have a plan. So, listeners, if you are interested in participating in that, we don't have a date yet and we don't have a book yet. So, if you have books in the public domain so that we do not get sued, because getting sued is a really bad way to make money. But if you have books that you think would be fun to read for this classic book club, let us know. You can shoot us an email at 5050artsproduction@gmail.com and just say, hey, I think Frankenstein would be awesome, or I think Jane Eyre would be awesome, or I think the Brothers Karamazov would be awesome. You're wrong.
Don't pick that. Don't pick that. Don't pick
but you can say it. And let us know. Tell us what you think. And then I'll put up the chapters in audiobook format, and somewhere down the line we'll discuss the book, and we'll let you know when that's coming up so that you can send us any questions or thoughts you have, things you'd want to hear us discuss.
I'll be tuned in.
Excellent. So, as I said, this is a podcast where we ordinarily just read short stories that we find out of the public domain. Mom has picked a story for me this week, and before we dive into that, she's going to give us a little bit of background information. We call this our fun facts section, and it's usually about the author, although occasionally about something else. But that's what we're heading into.
I am just a little concerned because you haven't given your usual accidental penis joke warning. Is that because I'm here?
Yes, that's because you're here. I assume I'm going to be much more on my best behavior. No, it's because my intro to the to what the show is about got interrupted by me talking about book club, and I forgot what my normal spiel is. So where did I drop off? Yes, so we read stories from the public domain, and along the way, we play Mystery Science 3000 is basically what it comes down to. We make fun of antiquated language. We look up strange words. And there are frequently things that, as Craig pointed out, maybe they were sex jokes back then. Maybe not, but they certainly are now. And when there's a good sex joke in a 150-year-old story, it's just hard to ignore it.
And as a retired high school teacher, I guarantee you, there are things you read on this podcast that if I had read them to a classroom, there would have been laughter throughout. No way would we get away with characters ejaculating.
Yeah. It's been a while since this podcast had a good ejaculation. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we can never plan for it because we don't read these stories ahead of time, but I'm hoping we get at least one of those this week because it's been months, I think. I honestly don't even remember when the last one was. Really a disappointing state of affairs.
Well, shall we?
And on that merry little note,
get started. This week, Ken, you will be reading a short story from author Mary Elizabeth Braddon, who was a favorite in Victorian England.
I think she's new for this podcast. I don't think we've read anything by her.
Well, that was the plan.
All right.
Her short stories were popular across many genres, but she's best known for her novel, Lady Audley's Secret. Ooh. This novel helped define the sensation fiction genre, and its plot centered around accidental bigamy.
Come again?
Apparently, bigamy can be an accident. I'm not sure how that happens.
Also... Come again?
Yeah.
Probably.
Come again. Sorry.
I didn't realize until after I had said it. That was not intentional. See, that's the kind of accidental sex joke we'll be riffing on all night long.
There you go.
Stay tuned.
Coming again in front of your mother.
Oh, God, this is going to be an uncomfortable one.
Anyway, modern day literary critic Elaine Showalter summarized the book Lady Audley's Secret by saying, Braddon's bigamous heroine deserts her child, pushes husband number 1 down a well, thinks about poisoning husband number 2, and sets fire to a hotel in which her other male acquaintances are residing. So,
I love this lady.
yeah, sensational fiction at its best.
Oh, and so, I mean, maybe I shouldn't be surprised, but Victorian author, I'm a little surprised that it is the female character who is guilty of accidental bigamy.
Indeed. It makes you wonder what her inspiration is.
Yeah.
Braddon was born in London in 1835, which I am retired history teacher here. That was the same year a bunch of Americans decided Texas shouldn't be a part of Mexico anymore and declared independence.
All right. Good to put things in historical context.
There you go. Braddon's birth seems to be the last normal thing about her life. By the age of 5, her mother left her father and took young Mary and her older brother Edward with her.
Okay.
When she was 10, Edward, then 16, moved to India, then to Australia, where he eventually became the Premier of Tasmania, a position somewhere between governor and president.
Because Tasmania is like a county or province or something of Australia.
Yes. And this is when we have England ruling from sea to shine, not sea, sun never setting.
Sun never sets on the English Empire. Right.
There you go.
Wow. So her brother is like president of the Tasmanian devil.
Oh. Meanwhile, we have Mary and her mother having trouble making ends meet. Apparently, 16-year-old Edward wasn't sending them money. So Mary decided...
And a single woman who left her husband couldn't pay the bills.
Yeah, go
I'm
figure.
I'm sure everyone is shocked and horrified.
Yes. So Mary decides to help Mom out by starting her acting career. And this is at a time where young women on the stage were not exactly seen as respectable. In fact, it was quite scandalous. But needs must. After a few years, Mary gave up the stage to pursue her writing.
Great. Yeah, I'll bet that makes Mom real proud. Hey, can you help pay the bills? Sure, I'm going to go be an actor. That'll make us rich, right? No? How about writing?
Well, stay tuned. Around 1860, 2 things happened. In her private life,